As I progressed in my career, I realized that this was a universal challenge. For me, it's about bringing that entrepreneurial conviction to the roles, the capabilities that we are building, the culture that we are building. It's about understanding the why behind the different approaches.
So, I'm going to peel back some layers of your career journey, your leadership ethos, and your life lessons.
Communication across time zones is very important for me. It requires intentional design. Building trust, to answer your question, is very, very important. Trust isn't about reliability. It's about predictability. Understanding work style differences is very important. And over the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen a remarkable acceleration of adoption of artificial intelligence by pharmaceutical and life sciences industry. So for me, Microsoft Teams is my office.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of BRiK Academy's podcast series. You have tuned into Candid Conversations with industry experts, and I am your moderator, Mihir Pujara. Today, I am extremely delighted to have with me powerhouse of innovation, transformation, and global leadership. Please join me in welcoming Divesh Singla. Divesh, according to his LinkedIn profile, is a self-proclaimed salaried entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience. Currently, he serves as SVP of Global Operations and Managing Director of India and Philippines at Signant Health. Under his leadership, Signant's Global Capability Center has scaled new heights in digital transformation and AI-led innovation. Divesh has managed P&Ls of various companies, and if I quote the amount, that would be $100 million plus. And he has served a lot of leadership positions at companies like Eli Lilly, IQVIA, and Parexel. If I talk about some of his key achievements, and I am proud about this one, that he is among India's top 100 AI and analytics leader. He is GMI certified mentor, LinkedIn influencer, speaker at multiple forums and global events. And he is also founder of 3AI, India's first not for profit platform for AI and analytics professionals. Now, I can go on, but let me take a pause here. And on this podcast today, I'm going to decode a leader's brain who is not just transforming the organizations, but making these organizations innovation powerhouses. So, with that, let's hear out from Divesh Singla. Divesh, welcome to BRiK Academy, and it's a privilege and honor to speaking with you.
I mean, the privilege and honor is mutual, Mihir. And first of all, thank you so much for that extremely generous introduction. That makes me think if I need to go back on my LinkedIn and change some of those, those figures and numbers. But extremely honored to be here, and thank you once again to, for being very, very generous with everything that you said about me. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Your journey for me exemplifies the sheer power of determination, passion, and purpose, right? So I'm going to peel back some layers of your career journey, your leadership ethos, and your life lessons. So let's get started. So, Divesh, I'm going to follow a top down approach in this podcast. So what does that mean is we'll start with your current role, and then at last, we are going to talk about your educational journey or from where this all has started. Right. So starting first, I think when I visited your LinkedIn profile, this quote, I'm really curious to know what's your reflections about being a salaried entrepreneur.
Sure. No, I mean, let me start off by saying, when I talk about being a salaried entrepreneur, for me, it is, a term that I mean, that was not coined by me. I sort of borrowed this term from Mr. Deepak Parekh, who is the ex-CMD of HDFC. When I think about a salaried entrepreneur, for me, it means thinking and acting like an owner while working within a corporate structure. For me, it's about bringing that entrepreneurial conviction to the roles where my equity was not being measured in the shares that I have for that particular organization, but it was in the institution's that I built and the impact that I created. So, when I looked at one of the interviews of Mr. Parekh, I saw a mirror of my own philosophy. He demonstrated the true ownership, which comes from accountability and not from shareholding. So that's what I mean by salaried entrepreneur. And if you see my profile, I mean, through my journey, whether it's about building large teams, with IQVIA, or it's about leading multiple teams across different geographies, within Parexel or Signant. I have always operated with this entrepreneurial mindset within all these salaried roles. So the salaried entrepreneur, as I said, for me means taking those calculated risks. It means that reimagining some of the initiatives that the organizations are working upon uh, with that mindset of ensuring that I'm kind of treating these initiatives as my own initiatives being funded by my own money and looking at the results which are more important to these organizations as I would have looked upon them if I would have been running my own company. So that's what I mean by salaried entrepreneur. So it's a term that I borrowed from Mr. Parekh and something that resonated with me in the journey that I have had for myself, Mihir.
Indeed. I think I also got exposed to the term entrepreneurship when I joined in my current role at Adamant Next. So now I would like to know how your day look like in your current role as a head of GCC for Signant Health.
Uh, I would say, my days are not identical. However, they are unified by a common thread, which is all about balancing the strategic thinking with operational execution across different time zones and across different types of stakeholders, Mihir. My workday typically starts at about 10:30, 11 in the morning, India time. And I spend a few couple of hours in the morning going through my emails and looking at how my day needs to get planned. I review our dashboards and our scorecards every morning to understand where my functions, my teams are from a performance perspective. I also use my morning to take some strategic calls with our local leadership. I'm talking about India leadership team, where we are discussing, the roadmap from a India GCC, perspective in terms of the capabilities that we are building, the culture that we are building. My afternoons and late afternoons are typically dedicated to work with my global stakeholders who are mostly based in US or in Western European region of the globe. And this also includes speaking and meeting with my customers, to ensure that they are getting the right kind of service that they need to. Uh, a lot of meetings is what I am kind of part of during the later part of my day. But essentially, one of the things that I do make sure that uh, I make it a point that I have at least one walking around conversation daily, whether it's virtual. I mean, mostly it is virtual, and if I'm visiting one of my offices, then it is an in-person meeting, and this happens at with the team members at different levels. These are unscripted interactions, which kind of often reveal the insights that those formal reports that I referred to earlier, miss for me. I typically close my day with strategic planning for our GCC, for the functions that I lead, including unified platform, DART, operational excellence. But quite honestly, uh, the fulfilling moments aren't in the scheduled meetings. For me, the fulfilling moments are when I see a team member, present an innovative solution that they have developed, or when I see a process improvement that was implemented a few months ago, and it has started showing measurable impact. So that's when my salaried entrepreneur mindset truly comes alive, and that's how my day typically looks like.
Okay, no, indeed. And thanks for highlighting what goes behind the curtain in making an organization really an innovation powerhouse. I would also like to understand, since you mentioned about global teams working together. So how you ensure as a leader, is there any secret sauce you're following to ensure that global teams, right, with different cultures, different geographies, they work with each other and have that common objective in mind?
So for me, I don't think there's a secret sauce per se as such, Mihir. For me, managing cross-culture teams, it's basically all about having that cultural sensitivity with a genuine curiosity. So when I was building teams across India, Philippines, Japan, US, I realized that cultural sensitivity isn't about memorizing the do's and don'ts from a handbook. It's about understanding the why behind the different approaches. For instance, when our Japanese colleagues would spend significant amount of time in the planning phases, my instinct would be how to accelerate. But I learned through a thorough upfront investment actually that initial investment in planning reduces downstream issues. Communication across time zones is very important for me. It requires intentional design. So when we established what I call as core collaboration hours, which is a 3 hour window where all major geographies have some overlap. But importantly, we developed a sort of a asynchronous communication protocols. Building trust, to answer your question, is very, very important, which has been one of my biggest learning curves. In fact, I wrote a LinkedIn article, a few months ago or a few weeks ago, wherein I emphasized that trust isn't about reliability; it's about predictability, right? So trust is when you're able to predict on how someone would behave in a particular situation. When I'm managing my data analytics team across multiple locations, I institute cultural check-ins, not just project updates, but understanding how different teams, would prefer to receive feedback. Understanding work style differences is very important as part of managing a global team. And very importantly, using the tools and processes that are available. I am home based. I work in a sort of a remote environment. So for me, Microsoft Teams is my office. But I ensure that there is enough cultural intelligence that has been built in, into the way I and my teams sort of interact with each other. So that's typically how I manage that multi-geography, cross-cultural, teams across different functions that I've either led in the past or the ones that I'm managing currently.
Okay, okay. No, thanks for highlighting that. And I think you mentioned about LinkedIn articles, so I cannot leave you without mentioning about being better. I think your newsletter I'm also following, and you cover wide variety of topics from cultural intelligence to women in leadership to GCCs. So I want you to talk a bit about your newsletter. And I think recently you posted that one of your articles was cited by LinkedIn in their sort of
Yes.
research. If you can elaborate
Yes.
some more on that.
So, quite honestly, being better really started from a personal frustration, that I had early in my career. I remember sitting in leadership seminars where concepts sounded great on paper, but when Monday morning came, I struggled to apply them in real situations. That disconnect between theory and practice bothered me. And as I progressed in my career, I realized that this was a universal challenge. This wasn't something which was limited to me. So this was in 2022, 2023 when I launched Being Better with a simple premise, which was leadership development should be an ongoing conversation, not just an occasional formal training. So the newsletter serves as the bridge wherein I bring together, the learnings that I have had from various different industry leaders, from aspiring professionals, to foster a culture through a continuous learning through shared experiences. My newsletters often quote multiple situations. Most of these situations, most of these anecdotes, which start with Div, that Div is me, Divesh. So these are my personal experiences, 99% of the times. For that 1% of the times, I undertake a lot of mentorship sessions. So that learning that I get through my mentorship sessions is what I bring to the newsletter to sort of make it more real, and try and move away from that theoretical knowledge, which by the way is important, but which is abundantly available in different forums. Uh, the topics that I cover are intentionally diverse, but they are interconnected, right? I write a lot about global capability centers, how they are transforming from being delivery centers to innovation centers. I explore practical applications of analytics, AI, in our space, in the space of pharmaceuticals and life sciences. I talk about I talk a lot about scalability, whether that scalability is a process driven scalability or technology driven scalability. Your second part of the question was around that one article of mine that got cited by LinkedIn. That was an article which was titled as Cultural Intelligence, the hidden catalyst driving transformation in Indian GCC, something on those lines. This piece of article was born from a realization that I had, while leading teams across India, Philippines, Japan, and other geographies. As I said earlier, while responding to one of your earlier questions, uh, we focus very heavily on technical skills, on operational skills when we are building teams, but we consistently underestimate the power of cultural intelligence in driving transformation within the organization. In the article, I shared a specific example from when I was integrating one of our acquisitions. The technical integration, quite honestly, Mihir, was straightforward. But the real challenge was, and it continues to some extent, was harmonizing different organizational cultures and the work styles across different geographies. I realized that understanding cultural nuances isn't about avoiding miscommunication. It's about unlocking innovative potential that exists, when diverse perspective truly collaborate. So, uh, that article was all about how cultural intelligence, cultural quotient, whatever term we want to use for it, is important when we are building these global capability centers. And last thing that I would say on this one is think of global capability center as nerve center. This is one entity for an enterprise which is connected with multiple different functions of the enterprise. So the challenge is not trivial. So people who are working, whether they are 10 people, 500, 2,000, 10,000, depending upon which GCC we are referring to, they are working with multiple different functions, multiple different cultures, multiple different personalities. So it's very important for this set of the people to have that cultural sensitivity. While I say that, it is also important for the mothership, the stakeholders whom they are working with, to have that cultural sensitivity of people that they are working with. So that's the article that got cited, and I mean, I'm only thankful to LinkedIn to somehow validate the thought process that I brought in.
No, indeed. Having worked with a GCC for almost 7 years myself, I was able to relate to a lot of practical examples that you have quoted in that article. So, viewers, if you are not aware of this newsletter, I'm just putting a link in the description of this video, and please go check it out. You might find really relatable views and perspectives on how to upskill your career or how to handle some of the situations better. Okay, coming to continuing our conversation. So I would like to touch upon both GCC and AI, but before that, I would like to understand. Now you have multiple hats. You are wearing multiple hats in terms of your roles. You are leading a GCC. You are a LinkedIn influencer, a writer, and also doing a lot of things for pharma community as a part of giving back. how you strike a balance between all these different roles and activities, and what you enjoy the most and why?
Okay, so candidly, I don't think I don't think of it as a balance me here. I think of it on how I can harmonize the different roles. Uh, these roles often don't compete with each other. They often amplify each other in the ways that makes me more effective at everything that I'm doing. My time management strategy, is very simple. I don't separate these roles. I try and integrate these roles. When I'm mentoring young professionals through global mentorship initiative or through other channels, I'm learning about emerging challenges that directly inform me about my corporate strategy at Signant Health, the work that I'm currently working upon. When I'm advising, latent view analytics or scholar work, I'm gaining insights into market trends that benefits my teams. So it's not about finding time for each role. It's about finding synergies between them. The complementary impact or effect is quite extraordinary, right? My community involvement earlier through 3AI, so I'm not associated with 3AI anymore. I mean, I'm sort of an ex-founder or an ex-co-founder for that. So whether it was earlier through 3AI or I have an initiative which I run, which is called as Prasarak. These community initiatives, they keep me grounded in the real world challenges. My mentorship conversations often reveal innovative opportunities which I take back to Signant. It's a continuous learning loop. What energizes me the most varies by the day, quite honestly, Mihir. But there is a common thread once again, and it's always about those transformation moments. In corporate leadership, it's seeing a team member propose a breakthrough solution, as I said earlier as well. In mentorship, it's when someone I've guided gets their dream role or starts their new venture. In advisory roles, it's helping organizations navigate complex decisions. In community work, through earlier through 3AI and now through Prasarak, it's witnessing the spark when someone realizes their potential. So that personal fulfillment comes from this multiplication, across these different roles that I'm playing. And I like to keep myself busy. Let me put it that way. I believe there is a saying, and I'll translate that in English, but empty vessel makes a lot of noise. So I try to keep myself busy so that I'm not empty and I'm not creating noise and I'm not making someone's life miserable. Rather, I'm making my life, which has that element of learning. So a big believer of surrogate learning. Why to learn, from my own experiences, and why not to learn from someone else's experiences. So that's what kind of bring these roles together, Mihir.
And actions speak louder than words. So we're recording this podcast on a Saturday. That's a reflection of how you keep yourself busy throughout the week and throughout the months. So now I would like to switch back to two topics, right, of GCCs and AI and ML. Let's start with AI and ML.
Mhm.
So now I'll be very candid in terms of asking questions on artificial intelligence to an expert like you. And I would like to know two things. I think this would be a very common question to all the viewers as well. First, an ongoing debate on AI taking jobs and how the future is going to look like. And second thing is personally, as an user of AI, I think I use ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, Google LLM, right, to make my day more efficient, make my mails and writing more efficient.
Mhm.
But beyond that, I would like to understand from you that when we talk about pharma, how much ground in terms of AI and ML we have covered, and according to you, what's gonna come in next 3 to 5 years that we should be, or a professional, an analytics professional should be prepared and aware about?
Okay, so firstly, I like to put a caveat, and thanks for being generous. Once again, I call myself as a AI value translator, Mihir. I am not a AI practitioner. What I mean is that I may not be very well versed with the most uh, recent technologies and so, But what I am able to do, and in my roles within Signant, outside of Signant, is my domain expertise, my understanding of pharmaceutical industry helps me identify and define a problem statement and translate that problem statement to my AI practitioners, the real experts, people who understand what AI, machine learning, data sciences is all about. And it's actually those people who are then working on solutions. And as a value translator, once again, I take those solutions and I translate them into actions for, the company or the organization that I'm working for to get that business value out of those. So that's first thing. And to answer your question in terms of how much ground we have covered, this is my humble opinion, and I'm sure there could be contradicting thoughts that your viewers may have. But in my experience, I believe we are still in the early innings of what's possible through the acceleration, over the past 5 years, that we've seen. I mean, over the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen a remarkable acceleration of adoption of artificial intelligence by pharmaceutical and life sciences industry. From an industry perspective per se, we've made significant strides in specific areas. So clinical trials have seen meaningful digitization, from e-consent platforms to remote patient monitoring. We've been able to compress timelines, that traditionally have taken 10, 15 years from a drug development perspective. Real world evidence has matured substantially. I mean, you come from health economics, outcomes research background, so I'm sure you can relate to it on how real world generation has matured. And now we are actually making regulatory submissions with RWE that would have been unthinkable about 5 years ago. Um, Drug discovery has perhaps seen most dramatic transformation, in my opinion, from a AI perspective. Whether we talk about AI driven target identification, or we are talking about molecular designs, which are moving, from experimentation to mainstream. Uh, Companies are identifying potential compounds in months, rather years. COVID vaccine is a classic example of that, which happened about 5 years ago. Although we are still learning to navigate the validation complexities, of these potential compounds that we are referring to. But let's be honest, about where we haven't moved the needle enough as much as we would have wanted to move it. From my perspective, regulatory processes, they remain largely analog in the digital world that we are living today. Patient recruitment, patient retention challenges persist despite all the technological advances that we are boasting of that we've made. The biggest issue that I see is the lack of interoperability between or across different pharmaceutical ecosystems, platforms, from CROs to regulatory bodies to payers to the commercial teams. I mean, these outfits, these teams still largely remain fragmented. What excites me most, is where we are headed, uh, and that direction that we are headed is where the convergence is happening. We are moving beyond point solutions to integrated systems. In my opinion, the next wave will be about AI that does not just analyze data, but actively learns from each trial to inform the next one. Imagine predictive models, Mihir, that can anticipate patient dropout risks in real times, or regulatory pathways that can adapt based on accumulative evidence patterns that we see. The real transformation, in my opinion, will come when we stop thinking about digital as an overlay on traditional processes, and we rather start reimagining the processes themselves. Decentralized trials, as an example, they aren't about convenience. They are about fundamentally rethinking on how we generate evidence. Now, to your third part of the question, which was what happens in the next 5 to 7 years. See, I don't have a crystal ball to sort of make that kind of a prediction over the next 5 to 7 years. But in the next few years, I don't know whether the few will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we will see AI becoming the primary driver, of no go or go no go decisions in drug development. It will not be just a supporting tool as it is in most of the scenarios today. The companies that survive and thrive, will be the ones that embrace the shift from this technology-assisted platforms to a truly AI native pharmaceutical development. So the ground that we've covered is impressive, but I think it's the terrain ahead where the real value lies. I hope that answers your question here. Otherwise, I'm happy to get into the double click
Thank
in
you.
some of the
Thank
details.
you for the comprehensive answer. You have touched upon, I think, the value chain, and it really helps clarifies what's how AI is impacting across different parts of drug development process. Now I want to switch back to the GCC topic, and I think with our viewers coming from GCCs, that is going to be exciting one. So I would like to understand two things, right? So. Uh, GCC, India has become a hub for GCC and it's a wave, right? But how do you see the evolution of GCCs in next, I mean, 3 to 5 years, whether it's going to be a backbone or a brain of pharmaceutical industry? Because I think a lot of companies are still in the setup mode, while the
Yeah,
Novartises and Novo Nordisk and Lilly's are much more at a advanced stage. But how
yeah,
do you see next 3 to 5 years gonna look like? And then I want to translate it to a lot of young professionals who want to be a part of GCC. And there's a lot of information out there in terms of the skill set that is going to require to be a part of these GCCs. But again, a lot of confusion as well in terms of what to focus upon, because I think the skills which were required 10 years back has become
yeah,
a lot of it's become redundant, right? So
yeah, yeah.
what's your views on?
Um, I think the GCC journey as such has been nothing less than remarkable. If I have to speak about it from my own experience, when I started my career way back in 2005, the Indian GCCs at that point in time, we used to address this industry as KPO, knowledge processes, process outsourcing industry. This industry or these GCCs were essentially back office operations, which used to undertake activities like data entry, basic analytics, routine documentation. The value proposition was very simple. Same work, low cost, right? But there were three key factors which I believe have changed everything. First and foremost, which I believe, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, is the talent maturation. We now have a second and a third generation professionals, pool of talent who have grown up in global pharmaceutical environments. That's the first one. The second one is the regulatory acceptance of Indian capabilities, especially post-COVID when remote operations became more normalized. The third one for me would be the entire AI and analytics revolution, where India's mathematical, computational strengths became strategic advantages rather than the cost benefits. Let me give out some examples from my own journey when I built global market insights function, or analytics services function at IQVIA. We were not just processing data. We were generating almost $7 million in revenue, in incremental revenue, through the predictive analytics kind of activities that we would carry at IQVIA. At Parexel, our team in India was not just supporting HEOR studies. We developed some of the proprietary methodologies that have now become, global standards on how evidence generation, health economics outcomes research can be carried out. At Signant today, we are not executing just analytics strategy of carrying out projects. We are actually driving it in a way that it becomes pivotal to the organization. So India's unique advantage in life sciences particularly comes from this intersection of capabilities. I think we have, if I'm not wrong, we have world's largest English-speaking talent pool, a scientific talent pool. We have a very deep regulatory expertise across global markets. We are increasingly having innovative brains and mindsets which are being shaped by India's own pharmaceutical success stories, right? We are called as world's pharmacy, right? For that matter. So I think our teams in India, they understand that trifecta. They have a good domain knowledge of pharmaceutical industry. They have a very good understanding of operations and how operations for global enterprise could work. And most importantly is the technological exposure that the Indian workforce is having. So that is the driving factor on why we are seeing the likes of Sanofi, recently Amgen, Takeda, BMS, Estelas, all these different pharmaceutical companies coming to India, whether it's in Hyderabad, I mean, mostly it has been in Hyderabad recently, or it's in Bangalore and setting up their global capability centers. And we are not referring to a 100-member team or a 200-member team. We are referring to, 1,000-member, 2,000-member team. I mean, BMS, in a span of less than 1.5 years, I believe it's almost 1,500, 2,000 people organization, right? So that speaks volumes about the advantages that India brings. Now, the second part of your question was if it was around the
Skills.
skill sets, right? From a GCC leadership perspective, I believe the first one, which is the technical fluency, it's non-negotiable. You don't need to code. I don't know how to code, but you must understand AI, you must understand machine learning, you must understand data architecture well enough to be able to make intelligent investment decisions. So you don't need to be expert in all these three areas. I call it as AI awareness and AI fluency, right? So that level of understanding is absolutely important because when your team proposes a machine learning model, for example, going by my own experience for patient recruitment optimization, you will need to ask the right questions about validation, about bias, and about scalability. So that's one. The second, in my opinion, is we've spoken about it, is the cross-cultural intelligence. It is critical, right? Uh, Leading teams across different geographies have taught me that cross-cultural intelligence, it's a competence which is not about being sensitive. It's about leveraging the diversity as a competitive advantage. And the future leaders, they must orchestrate the global teams when innovation happens simultaneously across time zones. Third, especially from a pharmaceutical perspective, Mihir, uh, regulatory literacy, is very, very critical. Unlike other industries, in pharmaceutical industry, our innovations, they must navigate, I mean, FDA, EMA, MHRA, I mean, multiple regulatory frameworks. So the GCC leaders need to understand how digital solutions impact compliance, data integrity, and other requirements, which are important. And fourth, uh, I have one more after this, which is commercial acumen. So you are not just managing operations anymore. As a GCC leader, you are driving a P&L impact. So understanding how your teams work and how that work translates to faster drug approvals, reduced trial costs, improved patient outcomes, and commercial success for the organization is very important. And finally, change leadership. The pace of transformation in pharmaceutical means that you're constantly rebuilding capabilities while you're managing operations. I have seen leaders succeed or fail based purely on their ability to be able to lead through continuous change. So, in my opinion, the leaders who will thrive in this GCC wave, in this, GCC tsunami, if I have to use that term, are the ones who can stand in the boardroom discussing AI strategy in the morning and troubleshoot, a regulatory submission in the afternoon, are all while building that next generation of global pharmaceutical leaders. So technical expertise can get you into the room, strategic thinking and cultural intelligence can make you indispensable. I mean, no one is indispensable though, but it can really make you very critical as a resource to the company.
No, thank you so much. And indeed, I agree. I think having the scientific and commercial blend coupled with the cultural and people intelligence. So, no, thanks for that comprehensive answer. Now, before we move into our rapid fire round, I would like to ask a closing question to this particular section. You have achieved successes across multiple roles in multiple organizations. What is the vision you are now working towards?
Uh, Mihir, I'm actually at an inflection point where whatever I have built over the past 2 decades of my experience is now converging into a larger vision, which is all about democratizing access to knowledge and opportunity in life sciences industry. Uh, I, I will not be able to speak about yeah, I can't give out the name yet. It's still work in progress, and I don't want my partner to get offended. But if I have to talk let me start speaking about it from a Signant Health perspective, where we are not just running global operations, we are reimagining on how clinical trials can be conducted with AI native approaches. My immediate focus is to expand my data analytics and my operational excellence teams to expand those functionalities and capabilities to where AI doesn't just support our decision making, but is actively driving, some of the key outcomes, for example, protocol optimization and patient outcomes. Um, from a longer term perspective, my I have an advisory role with a company which is not yet announced on LinkedIn as well, but that advisory role will turn into a more meaningful role, and I believe that entity is where I believe the future of professional development in pharma, which is through an AI driven platform which will help us plug the gap between academia and industry. So we through this learning platform, we are not just creating yet another learning platform, but I'm building with one of my partners an ecosystem where students, professionals, educators, and industry leaders can come and collaborate in real time. What excites me about this particular entity is that it embodies the multiplier effect that I've always believed in. Instead of me mentoring a few dozen professionals individually, we are creating this as an ecosystem where thousands, that's the vision, thousands of industry experts can share knowledge with hundreds of thousands of aspiring professionals. As I said earlier, it's all about democratizing the access to the kind of insights that traditionally only came through personal networks. And I know, we are moving into the rapid fire, and I just want to leave one thing behind, which is why am I doing that? Why am I so passionate about this entire industry and academic, collaboration? I know it's very cliched when we talk about industry and academic collaboration, but I come from a very small town, right? I come from a humble background where people like me did not have that early exposure, to what's happening out there in the industry, what corporate really means, what technological advances are happening around us. I didn't even know how to figure out my career at that point in time. I wanted to be a doctor. I used to spell pharmacy with F, not with PH. So if I believe if I would have had that early exposure, if I would have had those mentors and coaches when I was growing up, my journey would have been different. I am not regretful. about anything of my journey, I think it would have been little easy, because when I came into the industry, I was competing with global talent. I was competing with people from IITs and IIMs, all the tier one institutions. So for me, and there are many people like me out there, right? For all of us, there's a lot of hard work that goes in. There's uh, a number of frustrating moments come in, and through this ecosystem that I'm trying to build, we are trying to make it a little easy for some of these folks, wherein they can learn from the industry leaders, people who come with experience and people who are willing to share that experience. Uh, and I'm now thinking, second guessing, the name of the entity is Scholar. We are building Scholar, and the vision behind Scholar is that we would want that when a student graduates from his or her institution, they graduate not only with that theoretical understanding that they have gained, as part of that curriculum, but they also graduate with that practical visibility on how their career would look like. So that's what we are trying to build, and that's what my long-term vision is. In addition to anything and everything that I'm doing on my professional commitment side with Signant Health.
No, the vision is quite synonymous with what we are doing with BRiK
Yeah.
Academy. And let's see if we can explore some potential synergies going forward, right, between yours and us initiative. But thanks for that elaborative answer, and very excited to see what's going to be unfold. Now you highlight about industry and academia, and we both being Niperites, I cannot leave you asking you this question about your fond NIPER memories and how those early days set up the foundation of where you have reached today.
This is nostalgia. I can go on speaking about NIPER. NIPER is very special, extremely special to me. I earned my MBA from NIPER, and I also earned my life partner, my wife, from
Oh,
from
wow.
NIPER,
I
right?
wasn't aware of that.
So yeah, so that makes it even more special, right? So when I think of NIPER, I think the what shaped my thinking most was the unique intersection that NIPER created between a hardcore pharmaceutical science student and a business strategy student. NIPER back in 2004, mine was the second batch in 2000, in 2003, sorry. Back in 2002, when this entire concept of pharmaceutical MBA started, NIPER's MBA program, unlike traditional MBA program, as part of it, we weren't just uh, studying case studies about generic companies. We were actually analyzing why certain drug launches failed, how regulatory strategies could make or break billion-dollar investments, and how market access decisions directly impacted patient outcomes. This dual lens became the foundation of everything that I have done since. Uh, that's on the on a serious part of NIPER. I think other than that, NIPER was actually the foundation the foundation for me to build that entrepreneurial thought process. Being the second batch of MBA, we did not have the kind of resources a typical B school would have, right? So we had to garner a lot of resources with help of our faculty members, with help of fellow colleagues, whether it was reaching out to guest faculty members in Punjab University, or it was about, reaching out to some of the industry leaders. I think that entrepreneurial thought process came very early on, through the experiences that I had at NIPER. Last but not the least, uh, the best days of my life, if I have to count them, they were and they are from NIPER,
Summer of
for
69.
yeah, summer of 69. So NIPER taught me sincerity. NIPER taught me humility, uh, a lot. NIPER also taught me how to be how to stay committed, and that work ethics that I follow of respect and integrity. For me, respect and integrity are two things which are non-negotiable. I can negotiate on anything else, but respect and integrity are totally non-negotiable, and that's something I learned from NIPER. So NIPER has a huge role to play. Apart from my careers, I mean, whatever career success I've had so far, but even in shaping up the person in me, the family that I have is all thanks to NIPER, and wonderful friends that I had at NIPER.
Oh, great. I wasn't aware about your life partner journey. So you had the cake, baker, and bakery all with you from NIPER.
Yeah,
Okay, so in interest of time, now let's move to the next section, which is rapid fire round. So Divesh, the whole objective of this rapid fire is to have that golden nuggets of wisdom from your life lessons. And the only criteria is that you have to give quick answers to the quick questions I'm going to ask to you. So are you ready?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be the Amitabh Bachchan, and I have listed down questions. So I'm gonna look at that. Uh, okay, starting. One advice you will give to your younger self.
Do it by choice, uh, and don't get to a point wherein you're doing it out of compulsion.
Okay. I mean, it's difficult to describe in one word, but what success means to you?
Happiness,
Wow. Okay. Leadership in one word.
uh, integrity.
Indeed. Now, you have inspired me and a lot of people like me, but who inspires you?
A lot of people, a lot of people. I mean, I know this is rapid fire, so you want me to give one word answer. For me, it has been my father and my maternal uncle.
Um, you read or you listen to podcast, any quick recommendations of the literature which has changed your perspective?
I read a lot. For me, 4DX of execution has been like a game changer. That's one book which I have read a lot. The other one is Stephen Covey's First Things First, which has made a lot of impact on me. And if I can talk about the third one that has built a lot of commercial understanding in me was The Elephant Catchers by Subrata Bagchi. So those are the three that I can quickly think of, top of my mind.
Thanks very much. One AI myth you want to bust today.
I don't think it's a myth anymore, but still, AI is not competing with us. AI is complementing us. So AI is not going to take our jobs. It's going to take jobs that are meaningless. So don't be afraid of AI. Embrace AI. And think of a journey which is along with AI, not before AI or after AI.
So much. One Niper memory that still makes you smile, you covered, but still I am asking if I can have more.
Any memories that I have on PMC, people from NIPER would understand that. Is a memory that makes me smile any day, no matter what time of the day it is.
What's the best thing about working in pharmaceutical industry?
Every day, every moment, anything and everything that I do is at the end of the day impacting a patient somewhere. You know, I am contributing in whatever humble way in bringing therapies to the ones that needs it the most, which is the patient. So that's the driving factor.
In case, if not pharma, what career you would have picked?
I believe I would have been a performer. You know,
You are
so yeah, if I don't know how good or bad I would be, but I think if I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing, I would have been a performer.
singer or dancer or
It could be a combination of multiple things.
okay.
It could be a combination of singing, acting, dancing, whatever.
I think we have talked about successes, but any failure that you remember that has taught you a lot and you are thankful for that?
I have had multiple failures. Mihir, a lot. I think I've learned more from my failures than from my successes. And I'm not saying it for the heck of saying it, but I have been a true believer of either I succeed or I learn. So I have failed multiple times. I have had failed projects, wherein either I did not deliver it on time or I did not meet the expectations of the customer, the stakeholders. I have failed in terms of my people leadership as well. So I think I haven't had a scenario wherein I haven't failed, but I haven't repeated my failures. I can say that for sure.
This is tough one. Best city for a GCC hub.
My heart says Bangalore, my brain says Hyderabad.
Wow, what an answer. Okay. What's the most underrated skill today for corporates?
I think it's thinking of humans as humans, and I've spoken about it throughout our conversation today. The appreciation of cultural intelligence is, for me, the most underrated skill. Most of the companies, they invest a lot in culture. A lot of them invest for the heck of investing into them, but there are only few which are serious. That's one. Second, I mean, related to this one would also be the appreciation of DEI. A lot of companies, invest in DEI skills and sensitization around DEI, but I think there are very few who are doing it with an outcome in mind and not really media presence in mind. So cultural intelligence is definitely one thing.
If you could spend 1 month in any country to learn, where would it be?
It will continue to be in India. I think there is so much potential that we have, in India to continue to learn. So for me, uh, I mean, I'm here in India by choice, and the only, I mean, if I have to expand my response a little bit, I think the other place that I would go and learn would be Germany because uh, Germans are quality fanatics, right? When we talk about first time quality, uh, can't get it better than what Germans can. So that would be the second piece that I would want to learn, if I can, at some point in time in my career.
If any of our viewer wants to meet you, it would it be coffee, green tea, or something more stronger?
I would prefer coffee if the conversations are less intellectual. If the conversations need to be a bit more intellectual, then I would go for something bit more bitter.
Okay. And my last question is one message for young professionals in their early career.
Stay curious, stay humble. Don't let your early successes become your final successes.
Great. Okay, I think that was a great note to end this conversation, but I don't think we have just get the golden nuggets. We have got the entire gold brick, and I think the same resonates with our viewers as well. On behalf of entire brick team, I would like to thank you, Devesh, for taking out time and doing this wonderful podcast and sharing a lot of valuable answers and perspectives.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much, Mihir, to you. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, and thanks to BRiK Academy and to Viren as well to having me here. So I hope this was time well spent for you guys as well, as much as it was for me.
Thank you, viewers. If you're not liked our YouTube channel as well as our LinkedIn page, please go and like them so that we can continuously bring experts that are breaking the norms and sharing the valuable golden nuggets to you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in our next podcast. Thank you, Divesh, again.
Thank you.
Okay.